I'm Robert Feuette. I was actor for Doug. I wrote I-5 Closure and a producer.
I'm Drew Thomason, and I was the director of I-5 Closure.
My name is Devin Malone, and I played Becky.
I wanted to do I don't know, I call it like a run and gun, a shoot and gun. Like, okay, let's film something really quick, get a crew together.
This was actually my first time directing. I've acted a bit, I've written a few, but yeah, this was my first time directing, so definitely a lot of challenges with this, but really enjoy the process. Actually, didn't know exactly how much I would enjoy the directing part of it. Working with actors that I know I'm friends with definitely made it a little easier to connect with them on set.
Scene 4B, take 1.
Really, for this project, we were just trying to kind of see what we're capable of doing more than anything else.
Devin Malone and I also, we work with Drew Thomason a lot. And one of the things we do is we get together as before COVID it was a lot more, but we'd get together as actors and just practice scenes together.
Actually, in the first draft, Devin's character was named Karen, and that was right about the time that Karen became a derogatory slang term, so we had to go back and make a slight change there, so Karen became Becky for the rest of our filming.
This was a pretty short scene, and there wasn't a lot of detail given to me about who my character Becky really was. All I knew were the given circumstances of the scene. I have something in my hands that there's a lot of significance to it, and she has gone through some trauma with losing her partner. The details of her boyfriend's disappearance aren't all there in the script, so there's a lot that I have to kind of make up as an actor, and I don't get the opportunity to literally tell the audience what those details are.
And then, can Robert cry?
Are you gonna be okay?
That was teardrops. I think it was, yeah, just saline solution or something. I think the hard part I had was trying to coordinate like producing, helping with the camera, and then trying to get back into character. Not that that's my excuse for not actually crying, but when I look back on the film and everything, I'm like, oh, if I could have just got into character a little bit better.
And action!
How's my sister?
Drew did a little Facebook shout out to what we were looking for, and we got like 5 people, I think it was.
We had a real small crew filming during the pandemic. Obviously, we couldn't have too many people on set. Everyone had to wear a mask as we were filming. The actors were the only people on set who were not wearing masks at the time.
We had COVID supplies, masks in case somebody needed extra ones. Then we had plenty of room outside to eat for lunch. In fact, I was actually impressed how well people stayed distant from each other and respected each other's, distance and washing hands and that. And I think a lot of it had to do with the email that Drew sent out, first of all, on the expectations on being on set, which I think is great because the expectations being on set, not just for COVID, but other things we were gonna do, is like a great beginning to filming.
Word.
So I've got
Hello!
lab.
Hey.
Preparing for film and theater is a bit different. With theater scripts, especially established shows, there's no last minute edits. There's no, oh, we just added this scene, let's prepare for this in the next 2 hours.
Gosh, it's amazing, like so much of the prep, like, okay, so my script did change a lot. And then when we finally nailed it down, like, oh, okay. But then like preparing, like, oh, what equipment we need, getting people ready. I think that was just what made actually the filming day, really nice.
As we were doing our storyboards and had our lovely stick figure drawings, I had an image of just straight on to the car looking at our 2 actors.
Very detailed. Oh, wait till you see this. But yeah, I remember him drawing on a piece of paper, getting the squares in. Okay, we'll do a close up here.
But then when we actually got into the garage, as we were filming down onto the windshield, there were lights, glare coming in all over the place. So trying to we had some of our crew holding a sheet up directly above the car, trying to block where that light was coming from and cut down on the glare, which we did the best we could, obviously on a very minimal, pretty much no budget film. There are going to be some concessions that you have to make. So if you go back and look at that shot where we're looking straight on, You can still see the glare on the windshield. It bothers me looking at it. Hopefully the audience won't be too keyed in on it as I am.
You know, it's funny. I found it harder to memorize because I wrote it.
Because you had rewritten it so many
Probably.
times.
You're like, which version should I memorize?
Yeah.
Camera's rolling.
Which rewrite?
Well, no, I think it was because my brain was like, no, you wrote it.
I do remember showing up on set and running lines with Robert. And that's pretty standard, showing up to set and saying to your scene partner, hey, do you want to run lines a few times before we actually run it? We got it right, or maybe not right, but we were satisfied with what we were doing after so many takes. And again, that's the beauty of film. If I stumble or I sneeze or my hair isn't in the right place, I don't have to start from zero, from scratch. I can just take a moment and continue on.
Please. You'll get home, she'll clean up the mess. Please. Please, you'll get home, she'll clean the mess off the floor. No, she'll probably be butt-ass naked.
Cut. Spit it out, Devin.
Blech.
Spit it out.
So what we're gonna do is, I don't know if I told you, but we're gonna figure out where the car's gonna pull up. We're gonna mark that, and the scene is, you might just see Devin's boots, and the car pulls in.
With editing, there are definitely a lot more aspects of it than I thought there would be going into it. I knew obviously picking the different takes and which camera angle do you want to use. And that's kind of, you start out from that from the beginning, but then once you get your rough pictures, then there's the color grading and trying to get a consistent look or certain lighting and adjust that in there. I knew it was going to take a long time going into it. I would say it's probably taken a little more time than I first anticipated.
A lot of watching Drew on Zoom and saying, yeah, that looks good. Drew spent most of the time working on that.
Do we maybe even start with this shot? Just like
Yeah.
2 or 3 seconds of this right here.
Because you know you're waiting for something. What are you waiting for? Car pulling up.
Yeah, just start with that. Then cut to this.
But again, that's really why I wanted to take on this challenge, just to, one, see if I could do it, and just kind of know what the whole process goes into it. So on my next project, whether I'm just the writer, just the actor, just the director, I can know what everyone else's part is and how it all comes into this finished product in the end.
And that green screen, very fun to use. Actually, the biggest challenge, I think, when I look at that green screen, the lighting it was hard, but was the vehicle we used. The Prius has too many bars here, 2 different windows, shaded window here. If we would have used like a 1954 pickup, big windows, that probably would have been pretty easy.
I mean, I knew the basics of how you do it, I definitely learned quite a bit of it as far as starting with your raw footage, and then you kind of wipe out the green background and then build in your background footage on top of that, and then to try and get the lighting and everything to match between the footage of our actors in the car as well as the background, the traffic, and trying to get the right time of day and the lighting and everything set. That was probably the biggest challenge.
I think what was different about this project compared to all the other film projects I've done is just how important the setup was because of the green screens we were using to portray as if we were driving down the freeway.
We had gotten some traffic footage to use with the green screen, and part of the story is that traffic is really slow. It's a rough day. We're moving slowly on the freeway, but our original footage for the background was just a regular day zipping by 60 miles an hour on the freeway. So it looked a little awkward when we have the characters cursing about traffic and then cars are just zooming past.
Get off your phone and fill the gap. Traffic.
So once we went back and got some different footage for the freeway that actually matched the traffic and the story, it turned out a lot better.
Yeah, filming inside of a car was interesting, needing to pretend that they're moving cars, that things are occasionally driving by and distracting you.
Some of the sound issues filming in a garage, obviously sound is going to bounce off different materials in the garage.
If you notice, if it sounds like it's cutting out, you could let me know too. Like you cut like, because when we go to edit and the cutout, it's like, wow, we can't use.
Yeah.
I blew out the speaker. The hard part was pretty echoey, not a lot of insulation. So when the airplanes flew over, you heard them.
So where we filmed was actually pretty close to the airport, so we had planes flying over every now and then. We had to hold for airplane noise.
But for when she's opening the ring box, we're gonna be tight on our hands anyways, so I'm not too worried about that.
Hold for plane.
Hold for plane.
There was one scene it's at the very end at our very climactic moments where there's a lot of tension building up, and then the cat decided to come by and let us know that she needed something. So it was the perfect timing for it, though. We were right at this build up at the end. We have this pause.
Jesus, Todd, I've never seen you cry. Are you gonna be okay? Don't worry, I won't tell Vera that you've gone soft.
Cut.
And so I've played with like programs where we can adjust the sound. So there's a voiceover in I-5 Closure that's actually my voice that I think I did pretty good at disguising it as mine.
Welcome back to K-Bob, music for your commute, and today it's going to be a long one.
I know how to play, say, a guitar or a ukulele or a piano. I know how they work. So I created noise with them. Yeah, it's like pushing a button, and then I used the sound software to adjust it and then mix things together so it seemed like it was something that we could get finished for this movie. As far as score and sound, what I want to do more of is letting other people do that for me. I want to do more of the acting, but getting someone to get the score down. And I think that would be fun to collaborate with a person who's good with music, so I could tell them what the feel is for a movie we're producing.
Don't mind me.
Director's loft.
Yep.
I can't recall the first moment I knew I wanted to be an actor exactly, but I've just known ever since I was a little kid that I loved to be on stage and playing characters and having fun being imaginative. I started off as a dancer when I was little, doing ballet, tap, and jazz. And then there was a local theater company in my town in Michigan, and they had an audition notice for The Wizard of Oz, so I auditioned, and my first role ever was a munchkin on stage, a 5-foot-tall munchkin. Dorothy was about 5'2". And it was a good time, and from then on I was hooked, and I was auditioning for every show possible in where I grew up. And then I did plays in high school, studied theater in college, and the passion for theater and acting never really died in me. I still love it, but film was always something that I knew I wanted to get more into. There just weren't as many opportunities to really learn from professionals who are currently making things in the industry.
I'm not the person who was doing theater from the time they were 5 years old. I have not been doing this for a long time. It's something that I've thought about for a long time. I've always enjoyed just watching movies, obviously, but I'm the kind of person who would watch the bonus features on the DVD as much as the actual movie itself.
What interested me in getting into acting first was background acting. So I never wanted to be an actor. I didn't grow up in theater or any of that. And then watching movies, I was never like too interested in what was going on there. But when I used to live in California, I always thought, oh, it'd be fun just to be on the background. Like, oh, I'll just show up and be filmed. And so one day I was talking to a friend of mine, William Green, and he wanted me be in one of his short films. I was like, okay, thinking I was gonna be an extra, and he wrote lines for me. And I was like, what do I do? I'm like, let me try memorizing them. Hey. I'm glad you called.
My process is I want to read the script or the play enough times that I feel like I understand what's going on. If someone were to ask me, what's this script about, I would be able to, give an elevator pitch or in a nutshell, yeah, this is what this project is about. If I don't understand it, I am not even bothering trying to memorize the lines because I'll have a better time memorizing the lines once I actually know what it's about.
She comes at it from a different perspective of a stage actor, not having done as much of the film acting. So it's kind of really interesting to see, okay, Robert and I have taken classes only in film. We've only done film acting. I was in my school play in first and second grade. That was the extent of my theater experience, so that doesn't even count.
I do enjoy the parts of the production side, so it's fun to like budget a movie, set it together, and work with other people on how to get a project going. Because the kind of cool thing with filming is it's not just one person for a narrative story. It's fun to have a lot of people involved and then to see it come together.
As I'm watching a movie, I'm thinking, oh, that's kind of a cool shot. I wonder how they did that. And then to be able to go back and see how it's done. Sometimes it's okay, yeah, that makes sense. Other times it's, wow, I had no idea that's how they would have done that. And those are the kind of experiences where you see that and it's like, huh, I want to see if I can try that. Maybe make a film of my own.
To me, it was almost like one thing that I find very interesting is when you watch a magician do a trick that you know how to do, and he does it so well that you're impressed. And that's what it was like after acting, watching movies now. I'm like, wow, these magicians are doing it so well, it's impressive now. Like I know what they're doing in the background, and then what they're showing me later, I'm like, oh. And I wanted to be part of that all of a sudden. So I started looking into acting classes, and then after I found out Drew started taking acting classes, like I had to start taking acting classes.
Before this project, I was really involved with the 48-Hour Film Festival, working with Drew Thompson, Robert Feuette, William Green. We made a lot of really great films together. I've auditioned for some projects in town, but I'm still growing as an actor, especially in film, and still trying to spread my wings and learn more about what really it takes to be a film actor as opposed to a theater actor.
In a small market like Seattle, where there's not a lot of film work, a lot of times you have to make your own work, write your own projects, write roles for yourself that you know you can play instead of waiting for someone to hand you a role. So I wrote to film a short film called Try Again, which I acted in. I didn't direct that one. I was just the writer and actor in that. And that actually did pretty well. We've submitted it to a few film festivals. It's played around the country. Obviously disrupted a bit by the pandemic, so we weren't able to go in person to as many other festivals.
Good evening, Madame et Monsieur. I am Pierre. I will be taking you to your gastronomic adventure today.
So I didn't really have a whole lot of expectations going into that when I wrote it. It was really more just to practice as an actor, if nothing else, to get a little footage to put in my reel as an actor. So it turned out better than I could have imagined, and that's kind of with this project the same thing. When Robert wrote this script, it was practice as an actor, footage for him for his reel, and I wanted to direct as well, just to kind of see what that experience was.
I have a lot of creative interests when it comes to acting. I also love making clothes and being creative in that way. So acting and writing are really like my things when it comes to theater film, but yeah, working behind the camera, I just don't want to pile on too many things.
But I'm always going to be my harshest critic, which I think you need to be. It forces you to get better, to want to improve every time.
I don't know, it seemed like the work we put into it before, like the storyboarding, and then like going to Beacon Hill to film traffic. Once I started watching the film, like switching between camera angles almost seemed the visual that we planned out, for film day.
This whole process has definitely helped me as an actor just know more of what everyone else is doing, and it's been a great experience to learn from.
I really do want to embrace more film acting because it's just unknown territory to me.
For myself personally, I do have scripts I'm always working on. Nothing's quite finished or anything near ready to film.
I don't currently have an agent, but I am looking for one, and I would like to find one that could help me find speaking roles for television and film projects.
So I've written a few other things. Robert and I have got some ideas we bounce back and forth. So our next film is going to be about a group of friends that are playing poker, getting together after having not seen each other for a long time. It's called Raising the Stakes. Really excited about that, taking what we've learned from this film and then putting it into that one. We're not using a green screen again. It's going to be a while before we film with a green screen, so hopefully this will be a little easier set to manage. I've now acted and I've directed, but I've never done both at the same time. So with this next film, I'll be acting in that one. So I don't know if I want to be directing and acting. So we'll hopefully find some additional crew, get a director on board that can work with us. But yeah, really looking forward to the next one, and kind of every project builds on top of the last one. We get a little better, a little more efficient. So just hoping to keep continuing and making more and more films as we can.